All right. Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the NBC Sports Live College Football Betting Q&A. Vaughn Dalzell here with Brad Thomas and Eric Froton. Boys, another great day to talk about sports. Before we get into the picks, I want to make sure I thank BetMGM and invite everyone watching to drop your comments and questions in the comment box, and we'll make sure to answer them as we go along. Vaughn, I'm going to let you kick things off with whatever you want to touch on first, man.
Well, I kind of want to talk about some of these handles because they've changed lately. One of them had me feeling pretty hyped because one of my picks, the Pitt Panthers, actually made this list and then they came off of it. So looks like people are loving Notre Dame today, loving Oregon, and loving the Wolfpack. Two road teams on that list, which I find very interesting here. So may have a pizza bet with Brad. Won't say which team here. Eric called me out before the show, so this is going to be a pretty good show, guys. I'm looking to beat you guys both again.
Yeah. I want some pizza. Froton, good week last week, 14-3. I know you made me some money. Anything on top of mind that you want to talk about before we get into the games?
Yeah, I want to talk about you guys doing pretty well too. Vaughn, 5-0-1. Brad, 5-2. Guys, let's keep it rolling, huh? Not bad, gentlemen. Not bad. I hope everybody went out there and profited off of last week. I know that we made some cash, but importantly, man, let's talk about last night. Colorado, Stanford, 29-0 at halftime. That was some of the worst defensive back play I have ever seen in my entire life. Multiple 95-plus yard drives by Stanford. The unbelievable, just Shedeur Sanders off his back foot, 43-43, right there. All they have to do is kick a field goal. It's third down. You don't have to throw that up. Just tosses it up. The entire secondary, Cooper, even Travis Hunter got some. But, man, Ayo Manor, I think that was seriously the greatest performance I can remember in, the past half decade for a just completely unknown wide receiver who goes for almost 300 yards and a full nuclear explosion on Ayo Manor. That touchdown he caught towards the end of the game, where he actually first overtime, where Travis Hunter is in perfect position. Travis Hunter did nothing wrong. He's right in his grill. And he does the old reaches over his helmet, brings it back. I mean, that game was one for the ages. You can say what you want to say about Deion and Colorado. You can like them. You can hate them. That's your personal perspective. But you can't call them boring, guys.
No,
nothing about that team is boring other than maybe the Oregon game when they got smoked. But everything else, it's must-watch television. If you like college football, you want to be entertained. Are you not entertained, General Maximus?
Everybody on the East Coast definitely went to sleep at halftime of that game, including myself. When I woke up, I was like, what?
I fell asleep
team totals
right after that touchdown.
The team totals were 49.5 and 7.5 at halftime. And I was like, wow. I went to bed and then woke up to see Colorado lost. So, yeah, I think we know where Colorado stands now as a program. So, where are we going first today, Brad? What's the first game, baby?
Yes, let's get into the biggest game of the week, the game that could ultimately decide the Heisman Trophy winner. That is number 8 Oregon at number 7 Washington. Washington is a 3-point favorite, and the total is set at 67. I don't have a play for this game, and I want to say something before I let you guys get the floor. Is it's funny to watch line movement and how betting changes the line or not if you want to read too much into it. This line hasn't budged yet. Money is flying in on Oregon. I stayed away from this game. I like Eric's prop. I didn't know if it was too much for my appetite, but I think that you guys are probably going to have some better plays on this than me. I maybe because I was biased because I need Penix to win for my Heisman future, but I'm just going to grab my popcorn and enjoy the game.
Well, brother, I want Penix to win too because next week I will be at Washington versus Arizona State, much like we were last time, Brad, on the sidelines reporting live and direct from Huskies Stadium or whatever it happens to be called. With this prop, I'm going with Marquise Irving over 85.5 rushing yards. And we all know here, anybody who's watching the show knows I am averse to these big rushing lines. However, if you look what happened in this game last year, Oregon ran for 311 yards. last year. There's no Noah Whittington anymore. He's injured for the season. We don't have to worry about him stealing any carries. Maybe you get some Jordan James, but I mean, this is going to be Marquise Irving's show. In addition, I mean, they went each team. There was over 1,100 yards gained in last year's game between these two teams. And I know their defenses have improved, but if you look at Washington, you know, they're only allowing 6.1 yards per pass. That's 17th best in the entire country. 1.4 yards per drive. You know what they don't do well? They don't defend the run. It's the only thing they don't do well. 71st in team rushing performance on defense. That is a green light for our boy Marquise Irving. Give me my boy Bucky over 85.5. And it tells you DraftKings refused to put an alt line out on him. I was looking for one because they know there is nuke potential here. I like the over 85.5.
Yeah, I wouldn't talk you off that one. For me, I kind of lean really strongly the over 67, as you mentioned, Eric. All those yards last year, you got two quarterbacks who have 3 combined interceptions, 2 of the most dynamic offenses. One of the things I really love about Oregon's offense is their pick plays. They're the only team in college football that doesn't get called for pick plays, and they're running a pick almost every single pass play. But obviously, we said this is the Heisman game right here. Whoever wins this game is the front runner, especially if USC loses today. Caleb Williams will probably not be back-to-back Heisman winner. So I like the over, but one thing Brad said that stood out to me was all the money has been coming on Oregon, and this line has stood strong on the 3. That makes me like Washington. Now, every sportsbook has a boost out for this game being the arguably biggest game of the weekend. So I'll put my small boost on the over here, and the other one on another sportsbook probably on Washington -3. So I'm not going to buy into the hype, Brad.
Okay. I'm glad. Let's talk about Miami at North Carolina. Another top 25 matchup. North Carolina, that number has moved up and down. Got as low as 2.5. I've seen as high as 3.5. Total is 56. Been pretty straight there. I'm going to kick this one off with a same game parlay here. I was hoping that that I was going to have the guts to play Parrish's total alt line, but there's just too much conversation about giving away tells and all this stuff where I just kept it simple. So the play is Henry Parrish, 50 plus rushing yards, Drake May, 250 plus passing yards. Why I like Parrish, Miami, 15th and 13th in EPA and success rate running. UNC, 70th and 99th in EPA and success rate run against defense. But when it starts to get really interesting is UNC's numbers for explosive runs or line yards per rush. So line yards per rush from UNC's defense, 3.2, awful. Explosive plays, not as terrible, but 1.03. Basically, you're able to run on UNC. Parrish has hit this number in every game but one. Obviously, he had that monster game where he ran for 145 yards. And then let's talk about Drake May. We know Drake May is going to do his thing. I like his original line as well. This is going to be one of those get your popcorn ready games where they're going to be going back and forth, throwing bows. I actually lean Miami here. I think getting points here for a team that is clearly better. I'm sorry, UNC fans, is something that I like. I also, for anybody playing Prize Picks, I took Tez Walker over receiving yards. He missed it last week, but obviously it was first week back in a game that wasn't as heavily contested as this one will be. I do think that UNC tries to test Miami corners, and we'll see what happens. I didn't have the full confidence to take Drake May at his full number, but I do think he goes over that as well. Let me kick to you, Vaughn.
Yeah, I'm glad you said you lean the Hurricanes because I do too. They're going to be mad coming into this game after getting embarrassed last week, fumbling when they should have just nailed the ball. They've had these problems before, but they're going to bounce back here, I think, and be very aggressive in this game. Obviously, Brad, you just point out Miami's going to attack North Carolina's corners. I think that's very important here. North Carolina has won 4 straight against Miami and 3 of the last 4 at home, but I do lean Miami as the better team here. And I did like the over originally because we have 2 great quarterbacks, 2 dynamic offenses. Both teams have scored at least 24 points in 4 straight meetings, but North Carolina gets the quarterback, and Miami's not too bad on defense either. So if this first quarter is low scoring, I think a live bet on either team total is very appropriate here. But I'm with you, Brad. I think Miami is the right side here. Very strong lean for me. And I think Tyler Van Dyke has a good outing. What do you think, Eric?
Well, yeah, it's interesting. We all do have a little shade, towards Miami on this game. And as you mentioned, Tyler Van Dyke, his passing yardage alt line is 325 plus at plus 425. That's a big return on investment. And, a lot of people talking obviously about NC's performance, and defensively in their past events has been pretty good. I mean, light years better than what we saw out of them last year. They really hit the portal hard this year. But it's important to look at their, who they're playing. South Carolina, Appalachian State, Minnesota, Pitt, Syracuse. There's not a big passing team amongst those opponents. So when you're saying, okay, they're a top 20 in terms of, team performance and pass defense, you're not playing Oregon and Washington here. You're playing teams that are clearly ground-based. And with Pitt, I mean, Jurkovic it's over. He should have never been starting for that team.
Well, we'll talk about that
Garrett Schrader's not a passer. All those things involved. I just feel like the books are looking at what happened before as opposed to what Miami can do. And when Miami played Texas A&M, Tyler Van Dyke went for 378, probably their best opponent to date. So I do like, if UNC gets up, I think it just helps us even more on that front. I like that outline.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Let's kick it over to actually, I want to answer this question here. We should do this moving forward. Can we get a pick 6 on props or prize picks added each week? I have no problem doing that, Eric, if you want to collab on one each.
Ooh, the pick 6.
Forward. Oh, the pick 6 is dangerous.
Coming for us now, huh? You're really testing us. All right.
The hardest part about the pick 6, doing it for the show, is the lines have just been destroyed. But I don't mind. APC Jeff said not to jump to a different game. This is an alt line that I'm giving out, but Keon Coleman's receiving line is 74.5 to 76 on most books. BetMGM has 65.5. I took 64.5. I still like that. That's about 75 yards per game that they're going to be missing with Johnny Wilson. And as you know, Jordan Travis pretty much keys in on those two guys. And Keon Coleman is an electric receiver, probably one of the top transfers that came over for Florida State.
Yeah, absolutely. Stranger things have happened than hitting like you said, a 64.5 to 76.5 middle in these circumstances. Obviously, I do lean over with Coleman given the circumstances and Johnny Wilson being out, and Coleman being, in my estimation, a top 5 wide receiver in the next year's NFL draft. He's probably in the 4 to 6 range. I probably have him at 5. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with a little bit of arbitrage with an 11-yard middle.
Yeah. All right, cool. Let's go over to UCLA at Oregon State. We have number 18 versus number 15. Oregon State is a 3.5 point favorite. Total set at 54.5. And I will say this with full confidence. I have no idea what I was doing all week, how I skipped this game. I didn't handicap this game at all. When I looked at the show sheet, I go, how did I just skip a top 25 matchup entirely? So I'll kick it to either one of you guys.
Yeah, I'll take this one first since, UCLA cashed us a roast beef sandwich last week because Eric thought the Bruins were going to win. Or I thought the Bruins were going to lose. Sorry. I thought the Bruins were going to lose.
Yeah.
No. College football, college sports in general, like we said, when a home team that is not favored or not ranked is favored against a road team that is ranked, that's a play-on spot every time. But this is not a play-on spot for UCLA, in my opinion. If I add one play today from this card, it's going to be Oregon State minus a 3.5, unless I do the pizza bet with Brad later. So Oregon State, I feel like, it's a very hard place to play. We all know that for sure. UCLA hasn't actually been to Oregon State since 2015. So only some of this coaching staff will know what it's like to actually be there. None of these players will. This will be UCLA quarterback Dante Moore. He's going to be making another road start, this true freshman. I don't have much belief in him. I didn't last week either, but he was at home with a line that was convincing. This week is not that. So you look at Oregon State. We talked about Washington. We talked about Oregon. We're going to talk about USC. Oregon State controls its own destiny too, guys. If they win this game, they beat Arizona, Colorado, and Stanford. All they have left, Washington and Oregon. One's at home, one's on the road. Oregon State could make some noise. So that's the only. If the play doesn't get on my card, this would be the play. But Eric, what do you like?
Yeah, with Oregon State, you've seen them handle business against the majority of their schedule until they ran into Utah. And it's hard to really ding a team for going against that, absolutely phenomenal defense. I mean, who can score on Utah? So that's not really an indictment on them. And the same thing happened to UCLA when they played Utah. You know what I mean? So just because they had a hard time against them, I mean, excuse me, that doesn't really bother me. The thing with UCLA, I wasn't believing them going in against Wazoo, with the Ben Arbuckle passing attack. But man, they played great. Got to watch that game, and it was a pleasure. Third in EPA per play. UCLA, second in points per drive. They're actually first in the country with 3.8 yards per play allowed. It's really hard at this point, to bet against UCLA given how well they've been playing. But like you're saying, going up to Corvallis, inclement weather.
Yep.
First year QB. I think it's a tough game. I really do think this is a toss up on this game, and I just can't wait to watch it. I really don't have much of a lean.
All right, let's kick it over to the Big Ten Saturday night on NBC and Peacock at 7:30 p.m. The game that I wish I was at, but we have the baby on the way. We can't leave the misses.
We had to
Number
pick one,
10,
Brad.
USC at number 21, Notre Dame. Notre Dame, a 2.5-point favorite. Total set at 60.5. Pizza bet time, baby. I am taking USC plus 125 on the money line. I've seen 115s around on BetMGM. Make sure you always shop your lines. But BetMGM, thank you for sponsoring the show. Anyways, why I like the Trojans here. First of all, let's talk about the tough road that Notre Dame had to come on just to get to this game. They had to play Ohio State, a game that went down to the very last second play. The very next week, they traveled to Durham to take on Duke, a game that basically went down to the very last play. Then they go to Louisville to take on the Cardinals, a game where it was a physical game from Louisville. Jeff Brom's team was super excited to play this game because they knew if they took down Notre Dame, it would catapult them in the rankings, which is exactly what it did. Now you're telling me that they have to host USC? It's not going to be the same kind of physicality, but it's going to be just as a demanding test to stop this high-flying offense of Caleb Williams and what Lincoln Riley is cooking up. So when I factor all that in, I ask myself, would I say Notre Dame is a 1.5-point favorite on a neutral field? You can even drop it to 1 if you say it's worth 1.5 nowadays for home field advantage. On a neutral field with these conditions, with both the Jadens still being banged up, with the offensive and defensive lines having to go through the juggernaut, I don't think so. So what that led me to believe is I'm trusting Caleb Williams at a plus money price. If you look at USC over the last 2 seasons with Lincoln Riley, they've lost 2 games. One was an absolute barn burner in Salt Lake City, where it took an absolute historic performance from Cam Rising and that team. And what's even more important to note about that game is Utah doesn't lose at home. Utah has the nation's 3rd longest home winning streak. And then the second game they lost, if we remember correctly, was the Pac-12 championship, where Caleb Williams was dominating, takes a sack, gets hurt, obviously limping, and continues to play and does not play effectively. He's basically just getting sacked, turning the ball over. So for me, I'm going to trust the plus money here with USC. I don't care if it's a trap. I don't care any of that, because to me, it's value. If we play this game 10 times, I genuinely believe USC wins 6 or 7 of those.
Yeah.
All that said, you're the same guy that took Notre Dame last week, right?
But wait, let me tell you my Notre Dame. If anybody read my article, I even said Notre Dame's a bad bet. But as someone who has to have a bet in Notre Dame every week, I trusted letting the points than taking the points in that situation. But
I feel like this is very telling. Like,
I'm okay.
Last week was
I got to defend myself a second if you're going to put me out there to get roasted like that. I'm okay with making a bad pick the week before and adjusting what I've seen on the field. In my article, I wrote about how in that game against Louisville, Notre Dame generally is a team whose front 7 is very strong. They were getting literally bullied and not getting pressure on Plummer in that game. If they're not getting pressure on Williams, it's going to be a field day. Weather's not bad enough for me to think that this is going to be an entirely a ground game. So I want to hear your breakdown, because we will have a pizza bet on it. Just know that I like the Bianca pizza with pepperonis on it.
Yeah, and I am down 3-1 the pizza bets this year, so it's pretty annoying that I'm posting a 65% win rate in college football, and Brad's beating me 3-1. I'm like, this is getting out of hand now. But I will say I think it's very telling. Last week we talked about it was a very trappy spot for Notre Dame spread, But the fact that they came out, and this has been a very strong 2.5 or 3-point spread for Notre Dame the entire week, despite money coming in on USC, I think that's very telling. I know Notre Dame's tired, but so is USC. They have lagged the last 3 weeks. They have no defense. Notre Dame just played 3 phenomenal defenses, top 25 defenses. So Sam the Man Hartman, let's have a field day, boys. Eric, break the tie. Who you got?
What type of, Alex Grinch, defensive coordinator, USC. What does he have on Lincoln Riley?
It's crazy.
What's going on? Why has he not gotten the Lane Kiffin tarmac treatment yet? Could somebody explain that to me? Why he is still calling this D against Notre Dame? Man, this is a big game for them. Like we can't be messing around here. But it's USC is both the unstoppable force and the movable object, if we're getting into physics here, because they rank 98th in EPA per play allowed on defense. And believe it or not, obviously the much maligned Notre Dame, look, these past 3 weeks have not been particularly favorable to the Fighting Irish. But look, when they're passing, they've actually been pretty effective. They haven't done it much because they're running at the 104th quickest pace in the country. But they rank 9th in passing performance when they do throw, averaging 9 yards per pass. That's almost a first down every time they drop back. 10th in EPA per play. And against USC, who hasn't lit up USC? Who hasn't? Everybody does it. And this is actually a team that has talent. And even though they've been, a little bit sluggish over the past couple of weeks, this is the slump breaker defense that you want to be playing to get your offense going. I don't think anybody can deny that. So I will say this, Sam Hartman, his 325 plus passing yards is 425 in terms of his alt line. That is a sky high return on investment for a team that's playing USC that allows everybody to destroy them. So I really do like the value there.
All right. Hey, Eric is over here. He didn't break the tie, but he told you how to make some money. I actually love that.
I respect it.
I'm on USC. It's not fair. I'm in SoCal.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So
Okay.
I'm on USC. I'm in. I'm USC. I can't go against Caleb. I love him.
All right. Well, check out NBC Sports YouTube shorts section to see myself on Eric starting our new Betting Big segments where we break down our favorite Big Ten and Pac-12 plays every week all season long. It's time for your guys' favorite segment, Best Bets. Vaughn is leading the way, 6-3. Me and Eric, I'm a little over 500. He's at 500. We're gonna come on strong for this one. So kick it off, Vaughn, with your favorite best bet as the leader in the clubhouse.
I went to a Comic-Con recently, and I bought this stupid little thing that's awesome. But it's The Simpsons, all Mount Rushmore. And I want to say, in the words of Bart Simpson, boys, eat my shorts. We're in the lead. Let's go. And you already know where we're going with our best bet because we previewed it last week, and we also talked about it. We X'd it out earlier in the week, whatever they call it. But we gave out Indiana team total under 6.5. It's down to 5.5. Almost everywhere. Some books have just taken off team totals completely for this game. They said no more. We've had enough. So if you don't have a team total for Indiana, here's how you play this. Under 0.5 touchdowns is what some books offer. I love this play. I don't think Indiana scores. They've only had 7 and 10 points the last 2 times they played Michigan. This is by far the best defense Indiana's going to face all season, but probably the easiest offense that Michigan's going to face in FBS, because when we grade Indiana, I don't know where you guys rank them, but a lot of the metrics that I have when I spoke to people, they have Indiana as a 4th or 6th worst offense in all of college football. Even though they had the bye week, you can't sprinkle too many wrinkles in. They're going to trick Jim Harbaugh in Michigan. So fade Indiana however you can on the team total or the under 0.5 touchdowns. That's the best bet. And I'm going to give you guys something that we haven't done yet, but a little look ahead to my 2 best bets next week, because as soon as they come out on Sunday and Monday, grab them. Okay.
All right, what are they?
Air Force versus Navy. We're back. Service Academy unders. I can't wait. We're talking 2 units, baby. So I can't wait for that. The Michigan State team total under on Peacock versus Michigan. Oh my God, so dreamy. I can't wait, boys. So yeah, those two team total under again for the Spartans and the under for Air Force versus Navy. Lock them in on Sunday and Monday. Best bets for next week.
When Michigan State gets beat 20-7 today, I'm gonna be excited to see what they set their team total as against Michigan.
Bro, you hit that bet, I'm gonna start calling you Dreamy Dalzell. Be careful.
I love it. I'll take it. I am dreamy. Brad,
Let
what
me
do you
go
got?
to my best bet. I'm going to quarterback rushing over. This number's been around 35 all season, 34. I'm taking Emory Jones of Cincinnati over 40.5 rushing yards. So obviously he missed in games 1 and 2. But he wasn't, I think he was trying to do too much through the air. And I genuinely believe Coach Polsman's side says, listen, man, you know where you're most dynamic. Why? Because in the next 3 games, he hit this number. I think he had 80 plus 100. 100 plus, 100 plus in those 3 games. But what's more impressive is there was only 2 designed QB runs in each of those games. Of those, in those 3 games combined, there were 18 quarterback scrambles. 18 quarterback scrambles, which means when things broke down, he did it with his legs. Iowa State, I think Iowa State's live to win this game, which makes me like this even more. And why I say that is when you have a quarterback of his athleticism, probably the best athlete on the field, who needs to will his team to a victory, he is going to move those chains with his legs any chance he gets. So for me, it's Emory Jones. I locked this in the second the line dropped, but I still love 40.5 for Emory Jones.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that, my brother. And when it comes to the best bets, in my 3-3, yes. But, you haven't felt
a lot of yours
pain.
avoided.
You haven't felt pain until you've gone 14-3 and you lose the best bet. I mean,
oh my God.
What do you
That's
want?
true.
What do you want?
That's very true.
Brutal.
You can still go on an 11-game winning streak. I really believe that. I believe
Oh,
you can
the
win
pain.
11 straight to close out the year.
Oh gosh, that
You can do
hurts.
it.
But that being said, we're looking to go and try to make sure I hit this. Can you feel the love tonight, Dreamy Vaughn Dalzell? I can't. The Reggie
can't
love
either.
tonight. Illinois at Maryland, under 44.5 rushing yards. I don't even know why it's out there. Frankly, I'm going to give 2 best bets because it's almost not fair. He was questionable, very questionable to play last week. He did 7 carries, just 9 yards. He is a true game time decision going into today's game. If it's out there, it's essentially a free roll. If he plays, you're cashing. If he doesn't, you're getting your money back. So I feel great about Reggie Love. How can you not? And then secondly, we're going to go with, a throwback to the 60s. Our parents' generation, they grew up watching television in the infancy of the black and white tube TV. And what was the number 1 TV show back in the day? One of the tippity top, Lassie. And who are we taking here, the under on? Darius Lassie Lassiter for wide receiver, BYU, under 31.5 receiving yards. Cody Malcolm Epps is back. He is the number 1 slot receiver there. That is the slot that Darius Lassie, had been occupying up until this point. With Epps back, he's going to go back to a secondary, maybe tertiary role and come off of the bench. That is a recipe for unders, especially when you're dealing with a team like BYU. I don't believe in Keaton Slovis being a USC guy. Get out. We didn't need Keaton Slovis. Retread City, 3rd team Keaton Slovis. Darius Lassiter on the bench. I'm a big Collie fan. Give me my boy Lassie.
2-0, baby. 4-0 on the show right here.
We're going to sweep these. Does Arkansas cover the 19.5? I didn't bet anything on the game, but you guys know I'm rolling with the Tide. I think Alabama has a chance to kind of, shut the door on this Arkansas team. It's funny because Pittman, even in press conferences, has sounded very non-committal about his feelings on the game. Basically, he wants his guys to go out there and try their best. That is scary. This defense is an elite unit. Caleb Downs, best freshman in the country right now, playing his absolute mind off. Arnold really playing really well. The defensive line getting to the quarterback, getting pressure. It's funny because I saw someone say they lost Will Anderson, but they're getting more pressure on the quarterback this season than last. It's because they have Kevin Steele in there calling up some good schemes.
And I'll say that my opinion on Alabama football is retired because we won last week on an under 46.5 with a blocked field goal return for a touchdown that got called back, a passing touchdown that called back, a 4th down conversion that missed, and a fumble all in the 4th. to win by half a point. So, Anthony, don't ask me. Eric, any opinion?
On the Arkansas cover, I would say that, it's hard for me to go against Alabama. I will say that, they would prefer to run the ball, as Brad will know, and they want to bludgeon you. So I actually like, and I've been on this a little bit, I've been pro Milroe for this show. I had him at 197.5. I loved his over and his alt, which he, as you know, Brad, smashed when he needed to. When they don't need to throw, they're happy to go
just
and
pounding
you
it
up on the ground. So Milroe, 70 plus rushing yards is plus 500 in terms of a ladder. Like, man, 5-1 odds. I'm willing to take that risk against an Arkansas defense that I'm not particularly concerned about, since Alabama's offensive line was much better than advertised at Texas A&M. And that's an excellent pass rush, excuse me. So I do think that, the youth is starting to come together for Alabama, and they're going to be able to control the line of scrimmage. I don't feel comfortable taking Arkansas.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting game. I'll answer your other question too in a second, Anthony. Right now, I'm logged into to New York, so I can't get any Rutgers action on my phone. On my computer, but I'll look it up on my phone. But let me read this promo for you guys. If you're looking for NFL betting content, then you have the Dream Duo right in front of you. Vaughn and myself got you covered with spreads, picks, and player props all season long on NBCSports.com and on our X accounts at Mr. Prod Thomas and at V-Money Sports. And I do apologize. I had a bunch of people ask me last week where my same game parlay was. I was obviously under the weather, and so I didn't get one out. It probably would have lost. That game was pretty tough for Sunday Night Football, but I promise to have you guys one tomorrow.
I got a Sunday Night Football bet. I'm 9-1 in my last 10 NFL bets. But you guys want to sweat? If you don't know, I'm the first quarter genius in the NFL. I've been hitting first quarter team total unders like it's nothing. We're going Giants team total under 0.5 points with a backup quarterback against the Bills on Sunday Night Football. So the Giants cannot score in the first 15 minutes.
What are the odds?
Just like the Packers.
Well,
minus 140 on one place and minus 130 at the other.
Okay.
And one sportsbook has both teams to score in the first quarter. No, minus 450. So lock that in.
Nice. And just a quick one, Kevin Connolly, my boy Kevin Connolly, who is a great follow. 35.5, he says, on FanDuel is where Lassie is at right now. So you're actually getting a few yards of line value there. Thank you, Kevin. Always.
All right, let's kick it into our bets for the week. We'll start with Texas A&M at Tennessee. Line set at 3, total at 54.5. Vaughn, kick it off with your play.
All right, I'm excited about this game. Obviously, we got lucky with A&M last week, but we talked about Notre Dame going on a tough sled of games. A&M has also been on a tough sled of games. Their last 3 weeks, they've traveled a couple times back and forth, but now they're going on their first road game in over a month. They haven't played on the road since September 9th, okay? And now you're talking about a Tennessee team that's coming off a bye week. I played them at 3.5. It's down to 3. Don't even care about the line movement. I'd play the 3 or the 3.5 if you want plus 100 now. But the Vols in the past 2 years have won both games off a bye week against 2 very good opponents that went to bowl games, and they're both on the road. This one is back at home. I think A&M does look good in the first half. They hang around. They may even have the lead, honestly. Second half, though, when the Vols plays and the difference in discrepancy and pace of play kicks in, the Vols win this game and cover. So Tennessee minus 3 is my play. Eric, you look like you want to say something.
Well, I am not a Tennessee guy, and you know that. I've seen Joe Milton time after time.
I'm not a UCLA guy, but I took him last week. I like money. I like money. Let's go, Vols.
I have seen too many things for me to accept Joe Milton as the savior. Look at what he has done to that offense since Hendon Hooker left. That offense couldn't be stopped in 2022, and now you got Bazooka Joe Milton, who can throw it 70 yards but can't read a defense. Yeah, spare me, okay? I don't need to hear. I think Texas A&M is a little bit underrated. As stated, I love their pass rush. I thought they were, in terms of ability to control the line, I'm in. I don't think Joe Milton is going to have enough time, and I know he can't make the progressions he's going to need to be able to break that pass defense. It means they're going to have to try to run it on Texas A&M, which, I kind of do like a little bit Jalen Wright. He's about 60.5 rushing yards. I have a little lean to that over, but I can't bet. Give me the points. Give me the 3. Fine.
Roast beef?
Roast beef, baby. You know
Roast
how I roll.
beef.
I only do protein.
Is it double or nothing?
Protein.
Or is it just round 2?
Oh, double super beef or nothing. Double super beef.
Oh, okay.
Not even a junior beef. We're going super beef for this one.
Okay, well, I'll make sure Permani Brothers got my order ready for next Saturday because I want the French fries, I want the vinegar, I want everything on my roast beef sandwich.
You deserve it if you win this one, my friend, and I'm happy to pay up. That being said, there's also some other stuff I do like in this play. Ramel Keaton, not a fan, not a believer. 52.5 receiving yards. Might be able to get him a little bit more than that. I just think you've seen his performance trending down. I know that Brew McCoy's been out the last couple of games, but just Ramel Keaton's still not taken over. You're seeing guys who are behind him on the depth chart starting to pass him. I just think that he's a deep shot, spray and pray type of guy. You throw it up, maybe he gets it, maybe he doesn't, but you don't really game plan touches for him. I just think that there's too much variance in his game and his skill set. I am under Ramel Keaton, and I am over Aniyah Smith. Once again, I'm telling you, he's been crushing the 52.5-yard line. They're both right in the same spot. That low 50s, man, he's been dominating it.
Crushing it.
And keep in mind, Evan Stewart's hurt. He's been playing hurt the last 3 games. He's only been around that 50-yard mark, whereas the first couple of games, he was sailing over 100 every time and looked every bit the part of the NFL caliber wide receiver we thought he'd be. With Aniyah, Max Johnson, the new QB, with Connor Wegman going down, he can't throw outside the numbers. It's just, it's palpably obvious to me. He locks on to Aniyah Smith. He can see him going across the formation. They're really, seems like they're calling plays in order to get him in space. That's a recipe for success at that 52.5 mark.
Love it. Like it. Love it. Want some more of it. I already touched on Iowa State at Cincinnati, my bet. Vaughn, do you want to go ahead and give your stat for this game?
Yeah, I talked about this on Bet the Edge on Thursday's edition with the Whale Capper, and the line moved drastically about an hour or 2 after it was released. Can't really take credit for it because I know a lot of other people were on this as well, but there's a rumor, there's a trend circulating that when Iowa State is an underdog of 7 or less points, the under has hit 21 straight games.
Wow.
I heard that from Kyle Hunter too. He said that.
The under was,
or maybe it was you.
45.5 and 46.
I think it was you.
45 and 46 was the under. Now it's 42.5. So I'm not touching it, but statistically speaking, theoretically speaking, with the trend, it's still in play with closing line value. But that's all I had to say. We got our unders already on lock.
Yeah. Hey, Anthony, I do have the same game parlay for you. I'll give it out when I talk about that game. So let's go to San Diego State at Hawaii. San Diego State, a 6-point favorite. Total set at 52. V Money. Tell us what you like.
Oh man, what's not to like, guys? We were all over San Diego State last year, and I think this is the perfect time to get back on them now. Now they did lose 4 straight games. There's no doubt about that they didn't look good during that streak, but they played UCLA, Oregon State, Boise State, and Air Force. Those are 4 bowl eligible teams, and now they go to where? Hawaii, and we know Hawaii is not very good by any means. That's right. San Diego State, when they score touchdowns and Maiden throws his 3 touchdowns tonight, he's going to be doing a lot of that, Eric. Last year was the first game that Jalen Maiden came over as the starting quarterback for San Diego State. He was on the defensive side of the ball. Then he switched over to offense because their season high after 4 games last year was 108 passing yards. Maiden came in against Hawaii, 3 for 322. All right. He's ready. He's been playing for a whole season and a half now. Hawaii has a terrible 3rd down defense, 3rd down offense, and one of the worst bottom 10 red zone defenses. San Diego State playing 4 great teams will roll and cover. So when you guys won't lose money betting with us, but this is the last game of the night, so you can chase with the Aztecs.
They love the chase game. Good spot right there. Let's get over to Vaughn already talked about his best bet, but I have a bet in this game that I really love. Indiana at Michigan, total set at 33.5. Michigan spread 33.5, total set at 45.5. I'm so excited I can't even talk. I'm going to take under 45.5 points. There's still some 45s and a halves available. Make sure you always shop your lines. Looks like this is going to be a consensus 40 before kickoff here, before the 12 o'clock kick. This is going to be a difficult, wet game. It's already tough for Indiana to score in perfect conditions. I think Indiana doesn't score a single point in this entire game, and Michigan has no need to toss the ball around. It's kind of telling when you see a quarterback of J.J. McCarthy's caliber set at 217 passing yards. The books know they're going to run the ball down their throats. If I were to give a score prediction, I think they score at will early in the game, 38-0. And I said 38-0 because they have one of those second half field goals, and they might be the only points of the second half.
I like that a lot. That's the way I was looking at this game too, as a way to tell people to pivot here, because I just double checked and looked. There's still two of the main sports books aren't offering the team total for Indiana today. So hopefully we get Michigan State next week. But I think, Brad, do you think Indiana team total under 5.5 is a play for plus 120?
Yeah, I don't think that Indiana is going to kick 2 field goals. I think they know that they're not going to win this game. In the rain, in the wind, there's 90% chance of rain today. I don't have the TV on to see what it looks like right now, and I think it's 14 mile per hour wind in Ann Arbor. So yeah, that's kind of not really great for kicking, especially when that's not NFL kickers we're talking about, you know.
Yeah, by any means.
I do have one slight play there in Michigan. You know,
yeah, hit us.
J.J. McCarthy is listed 15.5 completions. At least he was on underdog heading into today. And against a team like Indiana in inclement weather conditions where they're not going to really have to put their foot on the gas, I don't think at all. If you look at the trends, and if they're not in a competitive game, JJ just isn't throwing a lot of passes. He can complete some, but it's not something that's really a priority for Michigan. He'll hit high magnitude passes, you know, for big plays, but the volume of completions, he hasn't cleared 15 in any non-competitive game this season. And I think something you got to give a look at.
All right.
I like that. Yeah.
Listen, when Eric says a player prop, I don't even ask twice. I just literally bet it.
Works for me.
Okay,
well, yeah. I'll get on to my next one then. You know,
yes,
like I'm next
for us, baby.
We've talked about Utah, where obviously my cousin Cole Bishop is the All-American caliber safety out there, and Cal is going to Utah. And not only is Cal going to Utah, but it is start number 2 for the Latin lover himself, Fernando Mendoza. Cal, 187 on the undercover Mendoza, 0.5 passing yards. I mean, how do you not take the under on Fernando Mendoza's under 187.5 passing yards against Utah? They are smothering every single passing attack they have seen all season long. And with this guy making a second start on the road in a hostile condition against one of the best pass defenses you're going to see, man, that's just an auto under. Out of principle, you got to take it.
I like that. He's going to definitely struggle, I think. It's a hard place to play. So I'm with you. Let's go. Shout out to Cole Bishop, man. He's a beast.
This game is something that I'm progressively getting more excited about because I'm actually going to lock this bet in as well. They took it down. Dang. They just took it because Hauser just got announced in. Okay, let's see if it's still on FanDuel. Sorry for holding you guys up, but I want to give the same game parlay out.
Cat in the hat Hauser.
Okay, so Michigan State at Rutgers, total set at 39.5. Rutgers, a 4.5 point favorite. Obviously, that line's going to move here with the official news. I'm on Michigan State's team total under 17.5. There's still a 17.5 on BetMGM. Excuse me, not on BetMGM, on FanDuel if you guys are looking. And Rutgers -5. I prefer to play the 5 at -105 than play the 4.5. This is a Michigan team who is in total disarray. They're playing in bad weather as well, with an inexperienced quarterback. That's what leading me to this play. I'm taking Nathan Carter, 70+ rush yards for +114. He's hit this in every game I think but one.
He's been incredible.
He's been absolutely insane. And then what better way to protect your young quarterback than hand the ball off 20 times in a game? The same game parlay is Gavin Wimsatt, 25+ rushing yards, Nathan Carter, 70+ rushing yards, and Michigan State team total under 16.5. It spits you out about 11-1. $10 wins you $109. I'm going to make sure I tweet out this Nathan Carter bet right now too.
I like that.
Spicy.
Yeah, I like that. I definitely considered this because the only play I have at noon is Michigan, Indiana. But if I was to look at a second, it was Iowa State's under, the Michigan State team total under. So I definitely think you have a winner, Brad. I was hoping one of you guys would throw Rutgers money line in the People's Parlay, but we didn't get there with that one. But I like this play a lot. I think you win too. I'm going to go to one of the most bet games of the week by sharps, and you'll never guess who it is. It is the Pitt Panthers as home dogs to the Louisville Cardinals, who just beat Notre Dame. Great letdown spot here for the Louisville Cardinals, in my opinion. I played Pitt at +8. That's what I X'd out earlier in the week. It's down to 7 at most places. I'm totally fine with that. They're actually my only money line sprinkle for today is the Pitt Panthers. We only had Oklahoma last week cash. We're going to do one this week again, 2 + 220. But Pitt they have a new quarterback. Your boy's gone, Eric, okay? You don't have to worry about Phil Jerkovich anymore now. Christian Velox, I think that's how you say his last name. He's in there using the wrinkle.
Come on.
Villieu.
Froton here. Let me give you the French-Canadian pronunciation. Villieu.
Okay. Well, I'm a Pittsburgh guy, and I didn't even know that. Christian Villieu is going to have a good day today.
I'm pronouncing it French.
Because he's at a bye week. So that's going to be instrumental to him actually looking pretty good against Louisville. Louisville has no idea what to expect coming into this game. So tough spot for Louisville, who's played some really good competition. Pitt, get up spot for them at home, and they played Louisville very well historically. So give me the Pitt Panthers +8, +7, and on the money line. Let's go.
Yep. I have nothing to add. I did take Louisville money line in my one of my plays there, but with Thrash is out, I'm gonna cash out. I mean, without Thrash, I'm not even remotely want to play it. Let's move over to Missouri, Kentucky. This Luther Burden over 106 receiving yards. Burden might not be in, so I have to check that. Obviously, this BS comes after you place the bet. There's nothing I can do about it. The bet's already locked in. But if he doesn't play,
no injury in college, it kills you. Just kills you. I'm right there with you too. Tavion Robinson, wide receiver, Kentucky, under 47.5 receiving yards. He has been perennially underwhelming the past few weeks. Took his under last week. He had 9 yards. And I'm going to pair that with Devin Leary, quarterback, Kentucky, under 232.5. This team just hasn't shown the willingness to throw the ball in the same way that they did when Will Levis was under center, when Liam Cohen had him out there in 2021. This is a lot more of the 2022 game script. We thought it was going to revert back to when Liam Cohen had it the first time, but it's not. We're seeing the Ray Davis show. And if they can go and run over Missouri, they're going to do it with Ray Davis, and they're going to lean on that high power Missouri passing attack that has seen Connor Cook over 325 yards in his last 4 games. It's also an alt line if you want to play with it. I like 2 of those. And just a quick one on Virginia Tech, Wake Forest, Kyron Drones under 197.5 passing yards versus Wake Forest. My gosh, do you need any more reason than to have you watched Virginia Tech try to throw the ball? Yeah, good dual threat QB, Kyron Drones. Nothing against him. He's really more of a solo threat QB, not a run. He's run first. Not a lot of weapons out there. Jalen Lane is their main guy. He's a slot receiver. I just don't see the upside here in that 197.
Let's move over to Ohio State versus Purdue. I took Ohio State minus 17.5. This is just going to be a battle won in the trenches here by Ohio State. I don't think that Ibuka is worth 2 points, basically what the books are telling us. No Ibuka, no Mayan Williams, but they still have 3 really good running backs. They still have Caden Stover. They still have the best wide receiver that we've seen in probably like 5 years coming out of college, and Marvin Harrison Jr. This is going to be a bloodbath. They started out really slow against Maryland. I think Ryan Day is going to have them really gassed to play this game.
Hell yeah. Brian Thomas, LSU versus Auburn, over 68.5 receiving yards. Brian Thomas has been a number 1 to Malik Neighbors pretty much all season. Like, he has been right as rain, consistent for a Jaden Daniels who has really, in terms of his passing acumen, I can't believe how much better he's gotten since 2022. That LSU passing attack is legit. They're playing a good Auburn team, but look, at 68.5, you're kind of priced in there with Brian Thomas, in my opinion. Over.
Yeah. Brian Thomas has been an absolute beast. And every time he catches a touchdown pass, I go, that's my kinfolk. I don't even know.
Exactly.
That's my kinfolk. Yeah.
Let's go to Iowa at Wisconsin. Wisconsin, a 9.5 point favorite. Total set at 34.5. Vaughn, talk to me, baby.
We're laughing, but ain't nothing funny with this total, baby. We got a 37.5 X'd out earlier in the week on Monday, down to 34.5. I wrote in the article, I'd play this to 35 because 35 is a key number in this matchup. That's what it's hit in the last 3 years or less. And you're asking Iowa to score more than 2 touchdowns on the road in Big Ten play? No way. Not happening. I don't trust Wisconsin's offense either. So give me the under here. Iowa has the second worst third down offense in the country, guys. 27%. 27%. Go under 35.
Once again, I'm going to go with the incomparable Steely Dan. They call Alabama the Crimson Tide. Call me Deacon Hill. Believe it or not, Bet Rivers has the gall to put him up at 149.5 passing yards over under. It is heavily juiced. Minus 195, but I haven't seen it above 120, maybe 125 anywhere else. And there's over here dangling 149.5 out at us. What I did is I paired him with Devin Leary's under at 230.5, and that's actually going to give you 2-1 odds. I know I try to avoid, putting the parlays out here, but if you're going to give me Deacon Hill and you're going to have Leary at 232.5, well, pairing them to give you 2-1, I'm down with that.
God, I miss fading Iowa quarterbacks. God, I miss it.
It's a tradition, unlike
I'm glad that you said the book because I've been seeing him around 125. That is freaking cake.
Bet Rivers is wild, guys. Check Bet Rivers if you're in a Bet Rivers place, just to make sure you're not missing anything, because you'll get some doozies. We got Kendall Milton 91.5 rushing yards a few weeks ago. It was jaw dropping.
Syracuse at Florida State. I went with Keon Coleman 100+ receiving yards plus 275. We already talked about that. Tell us what you like in this, Eric.
Garrett Schrader, QB Syracuse, under 193.5 passing yards. We just aren't seeing him out there chucking. They want to run the ball behind LaQuint Allen and do what Syracuse does, which is to bleed you and beat you up in the trenches. Schrader's an excellent run. I mean, he's 230. But, the party's over, guys. They're playing at Florida State. Jared Verse is in town. This is a different level of defense than what you're doing. They're not in the Carrier Dome. Give me that under on Garrett Schrader. It's going to be a long day for the Qs.
Yeah. He's been a guy that I felt like you've been very high on this season too. And now we're playing an under.
I pick my spots with him. I mean, when it comes to rushing, I think you got to respect it because he is that 235 bulldozer. But, that it's going against what their offensive philosophy has really been. And so when that's the case, I like to fade what teams aren't good at. Go to the ladders, right?
Yeah.
Let's
get the parlay so we can get this in. So we only have 3 minutes till kick. I'll be short on mine. Georgia minus 32.5. I played this, I think, at 30.5, and then I rebet it at 31.5. I'd have to check my notes. Georgia, Vanderbilt hasn't scored a touchdown against Georgia in 5 years. I have this game 35-0 Georgia.
They've really not scored a touchdown in 5 years, or was that just a joke?
I'm being hyperbolic. It's
okay.
It's like 3 years.
It's
like
believable though.
It's like 3 or 4 years.
Pandemic. Yeah.
I'll take San Diego State money line as my leg instead of taking the 6 here, so we can play both sides of it. Perfect get right spot, as I said. They played 4 bowl eligible teams in a row when they lost. Hawaii, no chance.
We had to hear about how Maryland is undefeated and they're ranked in the top 25, and can they give Ohio State a run, stay competitive? The answer was no. And now they're going on to play Purdue, a team that we saw. I mean, Brad and I literally watched with our own eyes. Wisconsin just completely bludgeoned them up the middle and just ruthless. Turned Tanner Mordecai into an option quarterback. I think that this is where Ohio State, they're looking better. They look great against Maryland last week, and that second half really came together. And I think they go and just rush them out of the stadium. Give me the 17.5. I'm in on Ohio State against Purdue.
People's parlay pays plus 427. Georgia minus 32.5. San Diego State money line and Ohio State minus 17. Player prop Savant. Hey, what's up? Best of luck to you as well. I know you cook up those delicious plays.
My God.
Let's see. Let's go into sprinkles. I don't have any, so I'll let you guys take this over. And then any best bets that you want to recap before the kick.
Yeah, right. I'll go first. I'll go first because I'm going to be much shorter than Eric. Money line sprinkle for me. Like I said, the Pitt Panthers, we're taking plus 225 here. I like them a lot in this spot. New quarterback, bye week. Louisville, don't know what to expect, and Louisville has a bye week to look forward to. So perfect letdown spot for them. Consider the Temple Owls. Kurt Warner's son is legit, by the way. He looks awesome. And for my plays today, just to recap shortly, Indiana team total under 6.5 or no touchdown scored. I would play the under 5.5. Wisconsin versus Iowa under 37.5 down to the 35. Pitt +8 down to 7 with the sprinkle. Tennessee -3 or 3.5. And then San Diego State -6. We're looking for another 5-0 week, gentlemen. And I got the pizza bet with Brad. I'm going to do a half unit on Notre Dame money line. So we'll make that an official half unit play.
I know you like margarita pizza, so we'll see.
I do.
We shall see. I already gave it a couple of my ladders. One being ABC, Boys to Men, ABC, TVD, the East Coast Family, Tyler Van Dyke, Jalen Milroe. And then also, let's not forget about Rowan Atkinson himself, British comedy legend Rowan Atkinson, Mr. Bean. All right, a throwback to the Charlie Chaplin days of silent comedy. Nobody does silent comedy better than Mr. Bean. And Jason Bean is listed at 225 plus passing yards, plus 500. But then the rushing yards, 50 plus rushing yards, plus 500. Okay. They're kind of looking at last game where it was the Highshaw and the Devin Neal show where they ran for almost 250 yards combined, or maybe even over that, without being really getting involved. Jalen Daniels, I've heard he may not play for the rest of the year. That's sort of inside info. Jason Bean was excellent last year. Anytime he's had to fill in, fifth-year senior, battle-tested. I mean, at plus 500, at very reasonable lines against the beatable defense in Oklahoma State that I think we're going to be seeing some scoring. I think that's very much in play at a plus 500 for either of those.
All right, did that wrap them all up for you? Wow, I think that's everything. I just want to thank everyone who was watching us, man. This was actually a really fun show. I had a really good time kicking with everyone in the chat, kicking it with my boys as always. Make sure you drop a like on the YouTube or on Twitch on your way out. For Eric Froton and Vaughn Dalzell, I'm Brad Thomas. Enjoy the games and enjoy the sweat.